So I'm back here, and in this complex, I used to go to small group with Jennifer, and the person that lived here was a Korean male and his wife, and he was a neurosurgeon. And, finishing up his studies in neurosurgery. So there's a longer residency or whatever. So he wasn't a full neurosurgeon yet. But anyways, he used to live back here, and one of the guys in my small group actually worked for Mike Ditka's arena football team, and I like arena football. And in this, he gave us a bunch of swag. He brought it to small group and passed it out for Chicago's new arena football team. And that was what Mike Ditka was invested in, arena football. But you don't hear much about arena football anymore. So Bon Jovi got invested in arena football as well. You see the summer football, but arena football is great for all the indoor stadiums. Truly. For the smaller indoor stadiums, that's where arena football, like the Allstate Arena and the Wintrust Arena, they play on these smaller stadiums. And so it's great for small stadiums. Truly. Not big football stadiums, but small stadiums. And the game is very fast. And I think it might be an 8-man game. But again, and the quarterback plays two ways. He's a quarterback and a defensive back. So the game's very fast-paced, but again, it was nice. And this whole development back here is behind Jewel Osco, and this little mall over here in the Saguenay Village, and it's very nice. And I found out from the neurosurgeon, and I'll explain, that he said that Illinois didn't have neurosurgeons because the malpractice was too high, so they all reside outside of Illinois, and they only come in for surgeries. And I said, what about emergencies? And he said, well, that's Illinois' problem. Malpractice is too high. So what did I do? Doctors. I'm around a lot of doctors and nurses. And I don't want optometrists, you name it. I don't want their stuff to go wrong. So I'm not for malpractice lawsuits. Truly. I tried to perfect neurosurgery, neurology, optometry, and others because I want them to go through their career like Simon and feel good about themselves. Feel good about themselves and wake up every day. I don't want them to have, oh, I lost this person or this went wrong and I screwed up here, and they got to live with it. Like Irene and all these nurses and doctors and that, and my friends are plastic surgeons. I don't want them to have to live with this immense baggage. It's really hard, and it trickles down onto their family and to their friends, and they really are demoralized and everything else. And so I try to come up with advanced imaging, advanced techniques, and so on and so forth, so they don't make the mistakes. And it's great because I don't want patients to come out getting screwed either. So I'm trying to save both ends. And I'm sorry, but somebody's going to lose. And what's going to happen? Well, malpractice suits are going to go down. But that means malpractice insurance goes down. That means hospitals are more profitable, doctors are more profitable, and patients pay lower health insurance. They pay lower operating fees and surgical fees and everything else. And so the system becomes better, and people can treat their issues and don't have to live with pain and suffering and misery. And I've been trying to perfect this. And yes, there'll be less, but they can move in because a lot of surgical practices will start up. all the stuff that people didn't address, they'll start addressing, and that creates all kinds of work on the business side in that for them. And they just shift. They already know what a medical practice does. They already know what a hospital does. Now they know the fees and everything else because they negotiate the lawsuits. So it's very easy to shift a malpractice firm into pro-business stances, setting up contracts between doctors and hospitals, setting up and negotiating between doctors and vendors and everything else. And you get more people using the healthcare system, using dentistry and everything, because when things are done, they're done correctly. And so it's very easy to shift them. It's very easy to shift people that deal in personal injury into the fields that they do personal injury in. So if you're into autos, then you can deal with all kinds of issues related to business, related to clients and autos and everything else. You understand autos and auto claims and auto mechanics and so on. And so you can shift the personal injury firm's business into other fields that are related to that industry. Where you were doing personal, you can go into medical devices. So if you specialized in orthopedic injuries, then you can go into and help set up and work with orthopedic surgeons and work with their vendors and so on. So it's a very easy transition for them. They already know all this stuff. They just have to change their thinking. Truly. And I'm not saying there won't be some, but I'm trying to minimize it, and their firms don't go away. So I don't want, 30 law firms lost when the plane slams into the building, or they tried to blow up the car bomb in the building in the World Trade Center. Multiple times they tried to take the Trade Center down. So, again, all those law firms, 30 of them, they just disappeared. So I'm trying to be able to shift them into other fields. And people that are human rights attorneys need to get the wolves out of the sheep. They need to be able to separate out the terrorists and that. And all the systems I set up for lie detectors and deceptive things, well, if everybody's lying, then you create the hay and we can't find the wolf. So if people are dishonest, and that's why the Bible talks about the truth will set you free, then you have everybody being deceptive, and then the detection systems don't work because everybody's deceptive. How do you find the bad person? You're making it impossible. You're destroying the ability to detect and find evil because you're creating so much hay with good people mixing in with bad people and doing all the deceptive actions they would do naturally. Natural because they're terrorists, they're criminals and so on. They're rapists and murderers and pedophiles and so on. And now you're creating an incredible amount of hay and we can't segregate them out. You're making it unbelievably difficult for all the systems I created to be functional, to work, to be accurate. You're destroying everything. And that's why the Bible already knows all this stuff and tells you, don't do it. But you go and do it and you destroy all God's goodwill. You're literally giving them the finger. And you're making the world a worse place. And you can't catch insider trading and all the other things because you lie about market action. You can't do this. All the bad people get to hide behind your hay. That's why Bernie Madoff and them were so hard to detect, because of all the other bad people. So it's very hard to find the bad people when you create a mixture of good and bad people doing this thing, and you can't find the needle in the haystack anymore because there's too much hay. So you've created a nightmare. And just to get off that topic, here's gompers, small gomps and big gomps. My nephew, little Larry, played t-ball over here. This field right here is where they play t-ball for the little kids. He played a t-ball. I was a coach on the baseball team. His father was the head coach. And it was great. And we played at Big Gomps too. And they have a beautiful pool. And my Muslim friend who used to cut my hair on Lawrence, he used to play basketball here. This is where Carl played basketball. This is where Carl, I saw him dunk a ball. A basketball, two-handed. He can't do one hand. But again, this is a great park. This is a great area. I mean, we played flag football here. There's the baseball field. On the other side over here is where we played flag football. But again, there's very nice things. Friends of the Park will revitalize, revamp, and improve. And then you have the woods right here. And so you have all this, the forest preserve and everything. And this is where I used to live off of Costner. So, again, a great area. And there's beautiful malls, beautiful places. And this is off downtown. You get more of a house. You get more of a yard. You get less traffic and less people. Still, it's the city. I mean, but still, it's less than downtown. So it's quieter, more reserved. And so, again, you have bigger thing. I mean, you have all these woods and everything. So it's a different value proposition. So again, understanding this. And I don't care about burqas. The thing is, if you got good people and you understand, then you don't worry about them. Because you did your work on the front end. You don't have to worry about the back end. But if you don't do your work on the front end, then what happened to France? On the front end, they had people coming in and they had the right Muslims coming in, and they did. And they were starting to integrate. And what happened? Once they saw there was a growing Muslim population, and this is what happened, the wolves came in. And then they started changing the community. And then they stopped integrating. They did. They got them to stop integrating. They got them to do this isolation. And then France started moving out the law enforcement and so on. And lo and behold, they convinced them to do all kinds of terrorist acts against France. Because you let the wolves come in amongst the sheep. Originally, France had a great integration, and it was working. This is early on, decades ago. But then they let the wolves come in. And why did the wolves come in? Because they saw the growing community, and hence it was easy for them to hide amongst the sheep. And so they liked the bigger communities. They liked to hide amongst the sheep. And so they did this, and then they started turning them and converting them, and then you got all the terrorism in France. What started out to help Muslims and help the people that were suffering and giving them greater opportunity and to move to prosperity and everything, well, the wolves didn't want that. They wanted to turn them against France, and they did. And then you had all the terrorist acts. And what did ISIS say? They were trying to integrate with the refugees. The wolves wanted to hide amongst the sheep. And then once the sheep gets in, then the wolves work within the pack, changing them and turning them into wolves. And that's why I don't understand with undocumented and everything else. And that was my stance against Charles Manson and his ability to have pen pals and write back and forth and all these women and communicate. And it was a horrible thing. I'm none of that. You hurt me. I operate out of self-defense and survival. You've been terrorizing me. You are the evil. You are the wolf. Trying to devour me, the sheep. So let's make no mistake about who's the filth. And you weren't supposed to do it. And you set me up not having a girl. You took away Jen. You guys did all this evil to me. And then you continued to do it, exacerbating it, making it worse. You stick a wound and then you take the knife and you turn it in it many times, making it worse and worse, and you make the hole bigger and bigger and deeper and deeper. I mean, you're some serious sickos. Truly unbelievable sickos. So anyways, I'm going to leave this video, but they're redoing the streets. It's nice, bright yellow lines. Anyways, nice new asphalt.